Welcome, and thank you for joining Between Sessions with Justin and Challee.
Just a quick disclaimer before we start. This podcast is for educational and conversational purposes only. It's not intended to replace therapy, counseling, or professional mental health care. We are sharing lived experiences and reflections, not prescriptions, and we encourage our listeners to seek professional guidance when needed.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a pretty fun topic, and we are recording virtually because we've got some weather in upstate New York. So we're switching things up a little bit. Today, our topic is going to be going over some mental health myths. Challee's going to be asking some different questions, and we're going to figure out where the truth lies.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First one. So you have to decide if this is a myth or a fact.
Okay.
All right. First one. Mental health problems are uncommon.
That's a myth.
It is a myth. It says mental health conditions are very common. And I believe it's 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 people in their life will experience some type of mental health condition.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely believe that to be true.
So I think just any mental health condition.
Yeah.
I actually think it's probably higher than 1 in 4, but those are documented. I'm sure there are a lot of people that suffer but don't seek help, so it's not documented.
That was actually kind of what I was thinking with that, of looking at it. Some people might have a different threshold for what they consider to be severe, so then maybe they're not reporting it. But I think mental health is just such a common thing, and we might classify it differently of what we would consider severe or mild. So then that might be more common than what is reported on. I think mental health in general is so underreported on, and that is also sometimes where the stigma comes from also.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Good job. All right. Number 2, stress, trauma, and genetics can all affect mental health.
True. 100%.
100% true. Yes.
What about the genetics part? That one, I'm happy that was included in there. I feel like that tends to be one that we don't always think about. What do you think they're kind of meaning by the genetics piece?
This is a tough one for me because I have a degree in sociology, so it's always been drilled into me nature versus nurture, right? I always studied the nature part of it. So when people say oh yeah, anxiety is genetic, I always question is it genetic or do anxious parents make anxious kids? You know what I mean? My anxiety is going to rub off on my kids, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how do you know if it's genetic or not? I don't know. But a lot of things like schizophrenia, nope, that's all I got. But I know schizophrenia is they've shown that it is genetic.
And that's where going back to that nature versus nurture piece, I think they really do both play a large role, because if we are, so going back to the anxiety piece, if we're growing up in a household where our parents or guardians or whoever around us are really anxious, we're probably going to pick up on some of those things. And we're going to develop those habits, not even knowing they're anxious habits, but it's just the environment that we're in. Stress for sure can impact it. I mean, if we're in a high stress environment, we're not going to be functioning at our fullest, and then we might develop or have some worsening mental health symptoms for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then trauma, that one in
Yes,
itself.
of
I mean,
course.
and trauma can be those big T traumas or those small T traumas. It can be those really big things like that natural disaster, or it can be the being demeaned or being talked down to time and time again that just layers on top of it and can really impact us.
It's so interesting learning about big T and little t because your brain can't always differentiate the difference.
No.
So, people will say well, my experience wasn't as traumatic as, someone else's experience, but your brain doesn't know that. Your brain can't compare. So what might seem like a little trauma to you, your brain might interpret that as, no, that's trauma. There's no big or little. So it's very interesting.
I think that's similar when we're talking about anxiety, is our brain, when anxiety hits, it's going to the part of the brain that used to keep us safe when we were being chased by a bear or a wolf, and it goes into fight or flight, even if it's just that we dropped a cup and it broke, our brain can very quickly go into there's a threat and there's danger, so we're going to react out of that. So our brain has a really hard time deciphering that. That's where it's so important for us to be able to gain a better understanding of ourselves and kind of know the way that we react and to work on those trauma responses or anxious responses to be able to train our brain to know the difference.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I like this next one. People with mental health conditions are usually violent.
Myth. It's definitely a myth.
Yeah, it is a myth. But let me ask you, why do you think this is a myth? Like, why do you think some people believe this?
Maybe because that has been the examples maybe in their family or their environment.
Okay. Yup. I was thinking more media. Like, you know how much I cannot stand when mental health is portrayed like falsely or over exaggerated on like TV shows and stuff. But
Mhm,
I mean, I am obsessed with Criminal Minds.
mhm.
It's so fascinating. But if you don't know about like mental health and you all your information is from Criminal Minds or some other show, yeah, you might think, oh my God, anyone with a mental health condition is a serial killer.
Mhm.
But most people with mental health conditions are not violent. Actually, people with mental health conditions are more likely to be victims of violence than perpetrators.
Yes, I do remember learning that somewhere, and that was a really surprising fact for me because I think so commonly I have worked a lot in, like, the criminal justice system, and many times mental health can almost be categorized as, like, criminalized, of like, well, this terrible thing happened, and then it comes to light because we got in trouble. So, the mental health piece was there before, it's just maybe that it was untreated or unmanaged for so long that then it turned into being a over the top or really difficult situation that ended up in an arrest or something along those lines with different involvement.
Mhm.
Ooh,
Yes.
that's so interesting.
I know.
All right.
All right.
What's the next one?
Next one. You can have good mental health and still need therapy.
Not a myth. That's true.
Fact. Yes.
Interesting, though. I didn't think about it exactly in that sense. Like, I'm thinking about the different pieces of, like, impairment. So, someone might really still benefit from therapy even though they may not have, like, significant impairment. It might be the difference of where you're going for that treatment that
Ooh, explain.
so, like, I have previously worked in, like, mental health clinics where there has to be a functional impairment in order to, like, qualify for services, where it has to be impacting your day-to-day life where you're not able to function, and where maybe in private practice or just seeing a therapist monthly or weekly, you can work on different goals even though it's not immediately impacting your life, but could help you prevent it from growing bigger or having more long term effects. I think about like with grief, like if someone experienced loss and it's not specifically impacting them in their day to day life now, but they are knowledgeable that down the road it could if untreated. So, kind of being proactive in that sense.
Mhm. Also, if you graduate, I love that term, but if you like
Mm
graduate out of inpatient and you're doing good, you might still need therapy on an outpatient basis.
hmm.
So I'm glad you brought up like the different levels of therapy that there are.
Yeah. I think that is so common though of like, well, oh, you don't need any therapy anymore because like everything's resolved. We might need it as a little bit of maintenance for a little while to keep us on the right track. We might also complete therapy and then decide to go back into it because
Mhm.
maybe there's a something new happened or it's a tough time of year. So it's not linear. It's not that you complete this step and then this step and then you're good and done forever. It's okay to kind of go back in between these. And it's never a failure to have to engage back in treatment either. It's really a strength.
Oh, yeah, for sure. To be able to reach back out and be like, hey, I'm struggling a little bit. I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've had a few clients where they'll say, like, I think I might cancel my appointment today. I don't have anything to talk about. And it's like,
Ooh,
therapy isn't just for crisis. If you have nothing to talk about, that's a good time to come in and, okay, we don't have to do any like crisis management. and we can talk about long-term things that have been in the back of your mind. Like, there's
Mhm.
always something to talk about.
I've seen this recently kinda referenced on TikTok, and some other therapists have talked about this of it's almost like the best time to come in when you don't have that
Yes.
crisis or that the immediate thing, because then you can kinda dive deep into what might have gone on before or different things that are beyond the surface level too. So, like, I've heard people talk about that that is when some of the best work has come out.
Yes, I 100% agree.
Hmm.
Yeah, sometimes there's some stuff, you're so focused on the day-to-day stuff, and if you come every other week, you have 2 weeks to talk through everything that's happened. But if you haven't really had anything happen, you have a whole life of things to talk through.
Mhm. That also kinda makes me think about, like, the termination piece of, like, knowing when we're done with treatment, because like, therapy is a super strange business model. Like, at the end of the day, you're coming to then get better to not need therapy. Super weird
Yes.
business model, but that has to be a really thought out process because one day we might be good, and then the next month we might not be, and we can look at the different pieces that are going into it and have a plan for like that termination rather than just saying I'm done, I don't need therapy anymore, things have been good for 2 weeks, I'm good. So being able to have that be a thought out process I think can be really important also.
Yes. Yeah, oh, that's a whole other topic, is ending therapeutic relationships.
Mhm.
Oh, there we go. We have another topic.
We do.
All right, next one. You're
Yeah.
going to know this one. Children and teenagers can experience depression and anxiety.
Myth. Can or cannot?
Can't.
Oh, can. 100%. I think I definitely answered it wrong. Yes.
That's funny.
Children and teens most definitely can experience mental health, depression, anxiety. I almost would go on the limb of it is more common right now because there's so many moving pieces, and I think that age tends to get invalidated in their experience.
I would not want to be a teenager in today's world.
No.
When I was growing up as a teenager, social media didn't really exist.
Mhm.
We were just starting to get like AIM chat. We had our away
Mhm.
messages, and that was our big social media. I can't imagine. I can't imagine like how these teens do it. I don't think I'd be
Yeah.
able to do it, because at least when I was bullied at school, I could leave it at school, but now it's like in their face 24/7, and it's terrifying.
That's kinda exactly what I was thinking about is the bullying piece of, like, it now it's not just in those hours at school. You're right, it comes home with you, and then it's
Mhm.
on your mind. There really cannot be too much of an escape at times.
Bullying and predators, like that's a lot more prevalent,
Mm,
I feel like, now that social media is around.
mm,
And I see a lot more of like blackmail almost among teens. Like, I don't know how to nicely word it, but with like relationships ending and threatening to,
mhm,
share photos, videos, texts, whatever to the world on social
mhm.
media. Like, yeah, that's gonna cause some anxiety.
Even just like that important or personal information that they tended to share, that can be weaponized against them. And in some really hard hitting places, like I've heard some kids talk about where like the predator, whether older or younger, had gotten their parents' number, had gotten involved with other kids at the school to be able to really threaten their safety.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's scary. So, children and teenagers can definitely experience depression and anxiety. As a parent, something you wanna look out for. It doesn't matter how loved and spoiled your kids and teens are, they can still experience depression and anxiety.
And they can still experience depression, anxiety, even with a roof over their head.
Yes, and my personal feelings are it's those kids you really wanna look out for, because they struggle. Like, I have everything I want, I have a great family,
Mhm.
I have no reason to be anxious or depressed. So
Right.
they might feel uncomfortable sharing it because they don't want to seem ungrateful
Mhm.
or anything like that, so they might try and hide it and fix it themselves because 'cause they're like, "I have no reason to be anxious or depressed, I have everything I need. I can't tell my mom I'm depressed, she's gonna think that it's her fault," or
So not having, like, that space or even being able to identify what it is of like, "Well, I have no reason to, so it can't be." It very well can be. It exists. It doesn't
Mhm.
discriminate.
It does not. Nope.
Ooh, that was a good one.
I know. That was a good one. All right. You ready? Mental health conditions can improve with treatment and support.
Fact.
One.
110%.
Yes. Yeah. Many people can recover fully or learn to manage symptoms effectively through therapy, medication, support systems, and self care. And I
Mhm.
think I want to point out that many people recover fully or learn to manage symptoms. Sometimes you're just going to have anxiety. Like it's not going to just go away 100%. And people struggle with that because they're like, I want to just be better. I just want to be better. That's not always going to happen. Sometimes you have to learn to manage your anxiety. You're not just going to feel 100% sunshine and rainbows all the time. Like you have to learn how to manage the symptoms so that you keep it at a good level and it doesn't, what's the word I'm trying to say?
Consume.
Yeah. So it doesn't consume you. You're still able to function. But I think that's a really good differential to make is there's a difference between fully recovered, no anxiety, no mental health issues at all, and then learning to manage it.
That hit home for me. I
Yeah?
appreciate you saying it that way. Yeah, because I think that this is something that I might be experiencing now in the sense of life is changing, so then there's different challenges where it may not be real. Like, think about the world we live in right now. It's very fast paced. There are so many different things going on that it may not be realistic to be 100% anxiety free, but it's in how we manage that. And I think about it in the sense of like a healing journey is like the goal of healing. And well, okay, so what I used to think the goal of healing was like to never deal with these things anymore. Like, we're healed, it's good, it's put in a box, and we're never dealing with it again. The actual reality of it is that healing is being able to manage and live with what we have going on and being able to work through those feelings and to be able to better handle it rather than it just not existing, period.
Exactly. Yes. Like people will come in and they're frustrated because they'll say, like, I was anxious this week. And I'm like, all right, what'd you have going on? Well, I was getting ready for dinner with my in laws. And I'm like, all right, well, that can be anxiety provoking. But like, what did you
Mhm.
do with that anxiety? And that's the important part. It's not that you
Mm,
had anxiety. Yeah, everybody would. I mean, that's an anxiety provoking situation.
mhm.
But what did you do with it? Did you just completely shut down and you weren't able to function? Did you
Right.
feel a little uncomfortable, but you used your coping skills and powered through it? Because if so, that is a success. Like that, I would be like
Mm.
cheering you on, like, yes, queen, woo, you felt anxious and you managed it and you didn't let it consume you. That's a win.
So it's not failure to feel it, it's actually success to feel it and to work through it.
Yes, 100%.
Love that. Okay. Very cool. Oh, I like that
Yeah.
one. That one hit home for me. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Mental health is just as important as physical health.
100%.
Yes.
I think they go
That.
hand in hand, and I think we so commonly don't think about that or acknowledge that because people will go to the doctor when we have like heart disease or when we have a sore arm or something like that, but not do that when we're dealing with some mental health stuff and be like, oh no, it's not that big of a deal, or they're not going to do anything. Maybe they
Yeah.
don't have to do anything, but we can talk about it.
Also, I mean, I see my doctor regularly when I'm not feeling sick just to maintain.
Hmm.
My doctor recommends that I come every 6 months for a checkup. So
Hmm.
that's what I do. But then if a therapist wants you to come every 2 weeks for a checkup, then it's, the stigma's there. But it's like
Hmm.
you're not like I'm not sick, but I still go to the doctors. I mean, like, my new baby goes to the doctor. She's already been to the pediatrician, like, 4 times because that's their recommendation,
Hmm.
she's not sick, but they're monitoring her weight and her different stuff, and it's all just preventative care, and I wish more people could look at mental health care like that.
Yeah. I think in New York, we're getting a little bit closer in reducing that stigma because now when you go into the primary care, they do those anxiety and depression screenings to be able to get a baseline of where you're at each time you're coming in. So that might be a touch point that we're getting closer to.
Guess where I just had a depression screening done for
Where?
myself? At my baby's pediatrician. Yeah. Yep. When I did the online,
Oh.
you know how you do like the pre-register for every
Hmm.
appointment? I went on and I did it yesterday for her 1 month checkup, and it had me fill out the depression screening
Ooh, I love
because
that.
postpartum is so common that now they're, checking it from everywhere because I mean, I'm good. I have a primary. I'm going back to my doctor in 6 weeks. Like, I'm covered. But not everybody is, right? But you have to take your baby to the doctor. Like, you don't have to take yourself to the doctor. Nobody's going to come knocking on your door,
Right.
but you have to take your baby to the doctor. So that might be the only kind of intervention that a mom's suffering from postpartum might get. So, yeah, I found that very interesting.
I love that. I was thinking the postpartum piece, that's something that we've talked about before where it's less commonly talked about. And right, if that wasn't done and a mom is like, nah, I don't really need to go to the doctor, everything is fine. Or we're so overwhelmed taking care of the child that, well, the last thing you're thinking about doing is making an appointment for yourself. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, God, some days I don't even remember to brush my hair. Like,
Hmm.
how am I gonna remember my own appointments? But yeah. But yes,
Very
mental
cool.
and physical health are so closely connected. I mean, you gotta think about it, like, your mental health can affect your physical health. It can make you physically sick, and
Hmm.
vice versa. Your physical health can affect your mental health. If you're not getting, the right nutrition, that's going to affect your mental health.
I recently learned how closely like our digestive system is connected to our mental health. Like they are so closely connected that we can develop some issues GI wise if we're constantly under stressed and feeling anxious all the time. It's going to impact the way that we're literally processing our nutrition.
Yeah, there's a lot of information coming out about gut health and how it correlates with mental health. It's also
Mhm.
interesting that we both work with kids. One of the first signs of anxiety in kids is stomachache or headache.
Mhm.
Those are two real physical symptoms, and yet those are sometimes the first signs of anxiety in kids.
Yeah.
So they do manifest physically.
I think we tend to forget that.
Mhm.
When, like, we think of it just being up here, where it really does, it trickles down into other parts of our body, and to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love that.
All right, you're going to love this next one. Talking about mental health can help reduce stigma.
Yeah. 100%, making it more normalized and just understanding that it is not the one-off person or that going back to, like, the social media or the criminal minds, like, it's not just the worst case scenario. It can be your neighbor across the street, it can be your sibling, it can be your parent, it can be the people that we look at and view every day are dealing with some mental health stuff.
Yeah. Just having those open conversations to normalize mental health challenges.
Mhm,
And I think just making it easier for people to seek support, like talking about it helps because if we talk about it, then I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've had people reach out to me and be like, "Hey, where can I where can I go?" Like, I
mhm,
don't even know where to start. But it's because, like, I post things on my Facebook about, mental health and we're talking about it. And I've had people message me on Facebook and be like, I want to see a therapist, but I don't even know where to start. Like,
yeah,
how much is it? Does my insurance cover it? It's so overwhelming. And just to be able to help and just kind of navigate through that is so helpful. So just making it easier for people to seek support even when they call us,
mhm,
for example, like if we don't take their insurance and private, paying out of pocket isn't an option, you don't just say, "Oh, sorry, better luck next time." Like, we always try to like refer them or
mhm.
give them, like, if I don't know, I would say, like, a good thing to do, call your insurance. Like, that's what I've had to do. Call
Yeah.
your insurance, you give them your zip code, you tell them what you're looking for. They can email you a list. of providers.
That is my go-to all the time because it is so overwhelming to look up online and just say, "Okay, I'm gonna call these 55 different places, see who accepts my insurance, see who's accepting new people." I always, like, give the best bet is to call that insurance company first, because then you're at least eliminating one of those barriers of, "Do they accept my insurance?" Because
Yes.
for most people, it's not gonna be the most realistic to pay for it out of pocket, so to be able to get it through our insurance as long as we have that insurance to be able to utilize that. And there are more options, I think, than what we think initially, and then they're able to narrow it down to what is realistic for us because it can be so defeating to put in all of that legwork and to hit so many no's when we're already in a point that we're looking for help, and then to hit those brick walls, we're going to get to a point that it's like, oh my gosh, it's not even worth it. I'm better off just dealing with it. And so then
Oh,
we start this process over again when we're even more disconnected or more disorganized or
that's
more
such a good
struggling.
point. Yeah, seeking out support should not cause you more stress.
Right. And it can, I mean, the reality of it is that it can, but trying to eliminate some of those barriers to make it a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, last one. This one is a given. Mental illness is caused by a lack of willpower.
Oh, myth.
I hate that this is even a myth though. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like it
Right.
bothers me that people even have that mindset.
And I could unfortunately bet that more people have heard that or have been told that than not.
Mhm.
I think unfortunately it's a bit of a generational thing that it was viewed as, again, back to that physical and mental health piece, like the mental health piece was less than physical health. So, well, just get through it, just suck it up and get through it. That doesn't work. To
Yeah.
some degree, being able to push ourselves through something and to heal through something, most definitely. But for that to be the only answer, no.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and nobody has ever said just suck it up and push through, heart disease, diabetes, any type of, like
Mm-hmm.
you broke your arm. I mean, okay, I broke my foot when I was little and my mom definitely told me to walk it off, but she did eventually take me to the doctors for it. So that's wild to me to be like, you're fine. Just will your way through a broken bone. Like, you're fine.
Mm, so true. Okay. Yeah. Willpower only gets us so far too, is another thing. Like willpower only gets us like that first step of the way. Like it's wonderful to start that routine with willpower. It's wonderful to give that initial push, but like willpower doesn't get us there long term. We have to develop some coping skills, we have to develop some routine, some discipline. Those are the pieces that are going to last beyond that willpower because at some point that willpower wears off. So even on that side of it, it's not realistic.
Is that even willpower though? I feel like that's just shoving it down. Like I don't know, I don't like the term willpower because it's like you're not powering through it. You're shoving it down and
Mhm.
eventually it's going to come back. So
I
like
think
yeah, you might
maybe
be super strong. You're so strong that you're able to shove more down, but like
comes
that's
out.
not
It's like a
yeah, and the
volcano.
more you shove down and the longer you take like it's just yeah.
With willpower, it can be that push that gets us to do something different. Like that might be the piece that we can lean on willpower as like, okay, I'm willing to do something different. And then that's when we need to accompany it with whatever that treatment or that discipline or whatever the other pieces is. Like we might be able to use that power to launch us into doing something. It's not sustainable forever though.
Yes, that's why I feel like the term willpower is used incorrectly because you
So
can
many
have the
times.
willpower to fight through a mental illness, but mental illness isn't caused by a lack of willpower. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah. Very good. All right. These were super cool. I really enjoyed these myths.
Me too.
So, if anybody can come up with any other myths, or if anybody has any questions about this, we can try and, answer at least the best of our experience and maybe our lived experience. I would love to hear some different comments of maybe what we've had to challenge in our life to be able to get to where we are also.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys so much for joining.
All right, cool. See you guys next time.
Thank you.